So, Deena, let me jump in with you. All right. So we're just talking about C-suite and advocacy engagement. What's your the first big question that comes to your mind?
Oh, well, I think that the first thing that comes to mind for me, if I'm thinking about this from a strategy perspective, is to not think about the C-suite and marquee customers as just kind of one homogeneous group of people. It is a group of titles, but you still have individuals within that group. And oftentimes it's like, oh, the C-suite, they're not going to want to do that. Or the C-suite, they prefer to do it this way, but you're just kind of talking about generalization. So the same way that we do for other groups of people. When I start thinking about a strategy for C-suite or marquee, I'm still thinking about who are these people as individuals and what can we learn about them outside of their flashy titles.
That's a great way to lead into this topic, because that is kind of how we approach everything, that it's really human to human when you're building advocacy and engagement. So this is a great lead in for our discussion with Aly, because Aly, is that the principle you hold to, or do you come at from a different light?
Yeah, actually, to what Deena said, I would agree. We actually have two kind of separate programs for our C-suite, VP plus really, versus the rest of our customer base. But to Deena's point, thinking about them personally is something that we often do. So one thing that I've done a few times in my career, and we're actually just building this layer on top of our work at Amplitude, working with my partner in customer advocacy, Connor, and Yulia on my team, is really around personas. So really that's what matters. Individual personality traits are, of course, something that an interest are, of course, something that we always bring in. But we want to think more about bucketing people into personas. And that actually doesn't really matter if they're an executive or not an executive. We'll bucket everyone into those personas so we can understand what they're interested in. Are they a type of person who values networking? They want to expand their profile, and that's the most important thing to them. And we want to make sure that we funnel those people into certain activities, different activities than the person who is really only interested in giving product feedback and wants to make sure that the product is laser built for them. They want to make sure that they have a long-term experience with the product is the best it can be. That is probably a different type of person than the type of person that wants to make sure that they're on stage speaking. So we have several personas. I actually adapted my personas from HubSpot's framework on personas, which I thought was really solid. And that has really helped us when it comes to looking at what people are interested in. Now, we're just layering this on right now at Amplitude. Previous to having this kind of persona framework, we did it anecdotally. So we were still understanding what motivated someone to do something with us. And so we would find the activities based on that. And we know that C-suite has less time, right? They're less interested in smaller activities. So you really have to make sure you know or have a educated guess on what this person is interested in. So that means like checking out their LinkedIn profile, talking to the account team, understanding even before you've met that customer, where their motivations might lie.
That's great.
That's how we focus things.
Let's dig into that piece a little bit, like understanding motivation. That's something that we're huge on. We believe that everyone is going to act upon motivation. So if something is important to them, they will choose to do that activity. How do you decipher someone's motivators? Let's say, like you said, even before you get on a call with them, and then even after you get on a call with them, how are you digging into those motivators? And specifically for someone at that level, is there any kind of different technique that you use?
Yeah. So similar to your philosophy, Liz and Deena, my focus has always been in my career, and maybe it's my personality trait, as you said earlier, but I am 110% relationship based. So we have to get introduced to these people as early as possible and build a relationship with them individually, which can be extremely hard. We have thousands of customers, but it really is important that we make an impression to these people. You don't have to have a deep relationship yet with every single customer, but you need to pick certainly your top 50 customers you need to have relationships with. And then everyone else, you really need to make sure that you're at least being introduced to, that you have details on. So that relies on having deep partnership with the account management team, the account team. So that's CS and the AEs, to make sure that you understand always what's going on with the accounts. I have a deep relationship with our leadership for CS, and I have a partner, a director of CS that sits in New York, who is a fantastic partner to me, and him and I constantly go over our top 50 programs. So looking at, how things are going with our executives and their executive sponsors there. So that really helps. But it's also about making sure that you've put in these automated programs so that you're getting in front of customers. So that's not always the executive level customers, but that's everyone. You're getting engaging with them early. You're getting in front of them early. You're introducing advocacy. You're introducing yourself, which I found to be really important, so that next time I reach out, they know who we are, and they're not like, who's this advocacy team? They have seen it. They know us. They've seen an email from us. They've seen a notification from us, an app. Something has come from us. They've gotten a gift from us. So it's not, you're starting the introduction process cold. So it's been really important.
All right, I'm going to start with anecdotal, and then we're going to kind of dig into maybe more of the structure when you talk about your C-suite level programs. So give me a story, if you can, Aly, of one time you were able to get a C-suite or marquee level customer at just the right moment. Okay, go for it.
I have many of these, so this is fine. I love stories. I actually have two. I'm going to tell two really quick stories that just came to mind to me while you were talking, and I was thinking a little bit about things I'd want to share before, and I think these examples are great. So the first is around the brand Walmart, small brand you've never heard of before, I'm sure. So basically, the way that Walmart is, you really can't speak about them or mention them often. You can't use their logo, nothing without their permission, which is very typical of large brands for sure. And so we see that all the time. I do a lot of work, this is an aside, I do a lot of work making sure that advocacy is part of the contract process so that we can make sure that we are incorporating and fighting for marketing rights in our contracts as much as possible. So that is one thing that does really help with some of these conversations. That's an aside, but very important. Walmart did not have this in their contract. There was no way. But we were really keen to incorporate them in something that we were doing. So basically what happened was we had kicked off a new blogging program. This was a couple of years ago, where we were allowing customers to actually write their own blog stories, and we would work with them on their blog stories, and they would get published in their name on our blog, and we would promote them. And we were showcasing specifically women in product and women in marketing. And so we had a contact at the VP level at Walmart who was doing some pretty awesome things, and she was really fabulous. And so we were able to focus in on what she was very interested in and what her persona qualities were, and pitched this opportunity to her. And she was interested. She loved it. So we had a photo shoot with her. We wrote her blog. She was part of the series of these women that were focused or that were featured for this blog series. We were able to get her team to approve it. Of course, we were not allowed to use the Walmart logo, but we were allowed to tell her story, which was super important. And we really focused on what she was interested in. What's the value to the customer? I preach this all the time in pretty much everything I do. So if you've listened to anything I've said, you've probably heard me say that before, that it's all about the value for the customer. She loved it. So that was one activity we did with her. Then Amplitude was going to IPO. This was a big deal. And we had to work on all the materials related to IPOing, right? So there's huge documents that you work on around the IPO, and you have to have customer stories. Fantastically enough, because we had worked on this story with her, we were able to adapt the story and get legal and AR and IR approval from Walmart, PR approval, to be able to showcase them within our IPO documents, even though we couldn't use their logo, and that was fine, but we were able to get extra added approval, and she was VP level, which was really fantastic, or around VP level. And so it was great to be able to showcase not only a marquee brand, but an executive sponsor for that team in multiple materials, starting with something that was really interesting for her, and then moving into something that was very important for Amplitude, which was our IPO materials. So that is number one story that I love, because I'm so excited to be able to have included them in both of those things. The second thing is our customer advisory board. So I've been running customer advisory boards now for, golly, 12 years or so, maybe a little less. And as part of the customer advisory board, we've really had, in my past, varied interest in level, seniority, titles that we incorporate into the board. Sometimes these are active users that are, mid-level. Sometimes it's only senior leadership. Sometimes it's a mix of both that come to the event together, and then we have certain tracks. But at Amplitude, we are really focused on VP level decision makers from high growth companies, high growth opportunities, and our top 50 customer base. This is really important to us. And we spend a lot of time growing and cultivating this group. And as you know, everyone listening is probably an advocacy expert. Best practice for a CAB is usually around 12 to 15 people. We have, of course, blown that out. We're at 22 people-ish. We're probably going to get to 25. We have an 80 to 95% attendance rate to each one of these events. But we didn't get there overnight. And when we first started to create this board, I was personally a little scared at how our attendance rate was going to be. These people have not a lot of time, and we need to make sure that the content is extremely valuable to have CPOs, CTOs, CMOs, VPs, folks that really need to spend their time in valuable places coming to our event. And so we need to make sure that the content is highly tailored to them. And so we went through a lot of effort, surveying them, understanding what they wanted to talk about, what would be interesting for them to join an advisory board. But even before that, we need to understand the profiles of people that would be most likely to want to participate in this type of activity. So we did that work. Then we focused on the content. Then post-event, we focused on their feedback, and we implemented their feedback. Not only the feedback that they gave our executives and product team members and CS team members and marketers during the meeting, but also the feedback that they've given the customer marketing team, what they wanted to see, more women, what they wanted, more time in their breakout groups. Like, we incorporated all of this into the next sessions. And so from that, we've received close to 5 stars as a rating from our, around 20 executive CAB members. And all of them said that they would not only recommend the event, but attend more, which is like a big source of pride for me. So we've been running these now for a while. We're going to launch now with our EMEA customer base. And it's just so exciting to see our customers love the programming, love being part of the customer advisory board, and at that level, be very invested. So a lot of work's gone into it, but I'm really excited about where we're going in the trajectory of the program.
That's fantastic. So 2 great stories, one ongoing, one a real hero story for both you and your client as well. Deena, I know I saw your ears perk up when she mentioned the research ahead of time into the program. Just tell everyone why your ears perked up.
Oh, I mean, that should always be your first starting point. Even if you think you know your customers, and if you think you know what they want, it doesn't take a huge amount of effort put together a survey or do a few interviews, just reach out and pull that feedback in. And it's either going to validate the direction that you were planning to go in, or it's going to help you pivot before you're so far down the track that it's a lot of backtracking to make it a better fit for your customers. It's an often missed first step, because we think that we lean into, as you mentioned, Aly, we lean into the personas and think we got it. We can kind of just move ahead. Personas are great, but thinking about those people as individuals, like the folks that you've snagged to come to your cab, what do they really want? Aly, I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Because I see different numbers out there. In terms of the listening to what people have to say in a cab versus delivering information to people in a cab, what's your percentage? What's your breakdown? Is it 80-20? Is it something else?
I'm absolutely terrible at math, so percentages are not my strong point. This is why I went the English route and went journalism route. So hopefully I never have to touch numbers, but unfortunately in marketing, you touch a lot of numbers. It is really funny. Let me think about the percentage here. So I will back up and say we do specific programming for CAB, being a hybrid type event. So the first event is a virtual event. The second event is an in-person event. So that kind of will skew the percentages there, because the virtual event is much shorter than the in-person day, as you could expect, right? And then we always have, when we have them in person, some type of fun, executive only programming that is unrelated to CAB, but CAB members are all invited to later in the day. So last year it was racing, like F1, cool, like fabulous race cars. They dug it. Everyone came back and was telling me how awesome it was. I was 9 months pregnant, so I wasn't able to go, but it sounded amazing. I think that's important to say, because the day is so much longer with an in-person that you get a lot more time to get their feedback, right? And when you have 3 hours compared to when you have 6 hours or something like that, there's not only the time that's programmed feedback time, but it's also like there's networking, there's the happy hour, there's all this other time where people could get to know each other and give anecdotal or, like one-to-one feedback, or even just get to know our executive team. But the way that we currently do things for both events is actually to do some sort of talk during both sessions that is topical. So something that's top of mind, whether that's an analyst coming in and speaking about the market, or it's a industry evangelist talking about a hot topic. So we have that person that is a presentation to the group. Sometimes it's a discussion or a workshop, but a lot of the times it's them like just briefing the group. We always do a roadmap session, and we always open with a note from our CEO. He always comes in, helps with the icebreaker. He's a real high energy, fun guy. So he comes in and really helps to get the group excited about the rest of the day. We always have those three things. From there, the rest of the day is feedback. So I would say a majority of the day is feedback. Something that I've learned not only at Amplitude, but at all my previous companies is there is never enough time for the breakout sessions. You have 2 hours. You're like, this is a long time for the breakout sessions. People are going to be like over it. People will write in the surveys, we want more time in the breakouts. We love it. I'm like, great. So we're always looking for more time to put in those breakout sessions. The way we do it at Amplitude is around 3 big questions. So we do 3 specific breakouts around our 3 big questions. Those 3 big questions change, but there is executives in charge of each of those questions. That really helps us to shape the breakout groups and the moderators for the breakout groups. And
yeah, that's great. That's great insight, Aly, because your percentage of people who attend your cabs is ridiculously high. So you're doing something right in terms of the content and the programming.
Yeah, our first customer advisory board, we had 100% attendance, which like amazing. Was so happy about that.
I've talked to Aly, and Amplitude is a great product. Like the love of the product always, is highly influential. And I know we took a little like sidetrack down cabs, but I want to bring us back toward executive specific engagement, but related to cabs. So when you're inviting people to cabs, when you're deciding what the content should be, when you're asking for those favors, Aly, you started and you said, got to know the motivators, got to understand.
Yes.
So for that group, so we're talking about people who are really busy and high up, or marquee logos where they're not allowed to like do a whole lot with vendors. What typical motivators do you see? Like which categories? Because you said you categorize people, and which ones do you think are the most powerful?
Yeah. So definitely I see most people are either profile people who want to build their profile, build their network, and be an expert in or a leader in X. Those people are the people who come to CAB to network, to be able to build a close-knit community of people who are going through, if not similar challenges, some type of shared challenges with them, even if they're not in the same industry, but also just build their, CTO, CPO, VP plus relationships. The CAB members are asked a lot of, they're given a lot of opportunities throughout the year that are very special. And so that's another thing, like they are rolled out the red carpet. And so that's another reason. Those are the profile people. The people who care about those things want the red carpet. They want the speaking opportunities. They want the networking. They want the added extra goodies throughout the year. Then I see the people who are really motivated to build a deep relationship with the product team. They want to be in alphas and betas. They want to expand their knowledge and use of the product. That's not meaning that they're the only people that want that and that the profile people don't care about that, because they do. But these people are highly motivated by giving product feedback, making sure the product feels tailor-built to them, or that they're getting what they need out of the future of the product, and they can grow along with the product, which I think is really exciting. And so they want to be in things like alphas of our newest features, betas are our newest features. They want to make sure that they're meeting with the product team all the time. The product team is coming on site to them, or other parts of our organization are coming on site. So building and growing with us, I guess, would be the other bucket. And those two, I think, are the biggest motivators for CAB. We have seen an immense popularity in both of those areas for our CAB members. And so we've tailored our content to that in our programming, and it's been a huge hit. I think that our executive team would say that they've found CAB to be very impactful for them. And they have, I think this is very important, directly incorporated the feedback from our customers into their work. So now we can report back to the customers exactly what we've done. And that is key for executives. They don't want to waste 3 hours of their time, give feedback and not see it go anywhere. It's like hard to tell any customer that you'll directly take their product feedback into your roadmap for like the next month. Like that's never going to happen, right? And I think that we need to be honest about that. But what we're asking people for is feedback for down the road, or small things that we're doing around launches, or even big things that we're doing around launches. And for them to see that we're incorporating the things that they've said, I think is very validating for the customer and incredibly validating for the executive team and the lower teams that are working on this work. So really, really important all around. And we found that the executives feel like their time is being well spent, which is really important.
Okay, so that's a great motivator, time well spent. And I know we're just about at time. So I'm going to leave you with this question, which is, okay, Aly, I can get them to my CAB. But when I'm asking them for that story,
yes,
for the IPO or whatever it might be, and I've seen you do this, right? Where I've seen you email people and be like, yeah, you're going to come do a video with us on site in like 2 weeks. And they say, yes. How? Like if you had like your tip, like what is your secret sauce? We'll leave them with that.
Yeah, I think that's a great one to leave people with. I mean, ultimately, it really does depend on your product, right? Like your product needs to be good. people need to actually love what they're doing with your product, or they're never going to evangelize your product. So you're in a very hard position if you're a customer marketer with a bad product. And I've been there. I've been at companies where that has not been our strong point, and it's been an uphill battle. At Amplitude, we're very lucky. People are ferocious lovers of Amplitude, which is great. It's a great product. I use it. We use Amplitude internally as well. But I'd say my biggest thing, and I talk about this all the time, and this is what I really hone in on before I do any outreach to any customer, is the value. Why the hell would they want to do this activity with you? What are their motivators? Who is the right person to be targeting? Why would they want to do this? And don't reach out to your top 10 customers for every single thing just because they're the top 10 customers or the top VP. Find the right people. Get to know your account teams deeply so that even if you're setting up one-on-one meetings and you're going through their book to understand who is the right customer, find and pinpoint the right people who will find this activity, whatever activity it is, extremely valuable. That is my biggest piece of feedback. I do that with every single item that we do. And we have a huge amount of advocates because of it. And we've really grown our VP plus advocate engagement as well, which are our two biggest KPIs that we report on throughout the year. So value would be my response.
Awesome. I love that. And it kind of goes back to what you said at the beginning, Deena, which is motivation. Got to know what motivates these people. And so whether there's processes in place that can help you do that at scale, whether it's relationship with your internal teams, whether it's surveying after CAB, it's all coming back to understanding the motivators. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yep. Human to human, treating people as people.
Yep. Never fails.
That's it.
And we keep coming back to the same topic. So Aly, this has been fantastic. If you're wondering about this topic some more, Aly is really one of the best people you can link up with. So find her on LinkedIn. Aly, thank you so much for coming and sharing all of your experience with us. Hope to have you again soon.
Yeah, my pleasure. Anytime.
Thanks, Aly.